Hello everybody, once again I am Lehman Crafton, aka Zorvalachan, Less Than Guru, and I want to do another review. Basically today, 2 days ago I started the character creation challenge, and today I was trying to figure out, while I was having my breaks at work, trying to figure out what I was going to do. Yes, Mars is here. He was bothering me in today's creation of, I did L5R First Edition Legend of the Five Rings, which is a game that I immensely enjoyed from about maybe 96, 97, 98 or so. And then it kind of just, I finished up a campaign as a game master and just never really went back to it. It was a game that I loved for those 2 to 3 years, and then just kind of dropped off the face of my world. Later on, I saw that they were up to a higher level edition. I don't even want to speculate what it was, but people were trying to get me into second edition and stuff. And there is a thing where I think sometimes I have a bad reaction when a second edition comes out within a few years. I kind of always take that, like 5 to 10 years seems okay, and I understand publishers are trying to push books and stuff, but when you do a complete new edition, less time than that, like say 2 years, 3 years, something like that, it kind of just seems weird for the most part. There's always exceptions, and it wasn't the second edition coming out that made me kind of back away. I just had game mastered and I had completed a campaign and wanted to move on to different things. Not necessarily that I disliked the system. There were things that I did dislike about the system, and I even back then I was thinking of ways that if I would ever do it again, how I would change things. So the first thing I want to do is, here's the main book, Legend of the Five Rings. It's a nice cover, and I will say these were my fault. Basically, I had a clipboard back in the day, and these two things that were in it kind of ripped out and got bad, and they were rubbing against it, so it was my fault for not getting a new clipboard. But that's the main book. It came out with clan books. So my favorite, Scorpion Clan, I love you. I'm sorry you died in the collectible card game, but I never really paid attention to the lore outside of what was presented in here. As I say, I always make the game my own, and that's kind of what I was going with, but you have different ones. I was looking through these and I was like, okay, I got the Scorpion. Phoenix was also, that was kind of my second favorite clan as an actual Bushi. They were the ones who were more magical users, the Shigenja. But I always thought to be a Bushi, to just kind of be like, man, I don't care. I'll be the redheaded stepchild. Way of the Dragon, this was one that was really usually very popular for people, because they basically cared about philosophy and not about traditions and stuff like that. Their thing for the Bushi were the two swords wielding. The Way of the Crane, which was one that I never really wanted to play, but it was one that I always respected. They were all the honor, tradition, rituals, ceremonies, stuff like that. Pretty Boys also. Way of the Crane. The Way of the Crab. These were the tough guys. These were the ones that were defending the Empire from the evil things. And I don't have the Lion, which were like the Emperor's Guard and like the main one. I'm like, why did I not pick up the Lion? And then I thought, oh yeah, because I never really liked the Lion clan. I even have the Way of the Unicorn. Even the lost, the tribe that went out, or the clan that went out, explored the world, and came back, and weren't really accepted because they had been gone for so long when they came back. One thing I did find funny is you'll see they did all these books and there are lots of different sizes. So like the Way of the Dragon is much smaller. So that was always weird to have. That's how they are. They're all just different. And then I even had a Way of the Naga. which I didn't even realize I had. I must have picked it up towards the end and just used for thoughts and ideas and not anything else. We never had any Naga characters. But they also had some interesting things. They had a Game Master screen. I always find useful when they have nice charts and stuff in them. I think this one it was called a Game Master's Pack that had stuff in here. It had an adventure that I actually punched holes in and put it in here to make it easy, so then I could insert between pages, I could insert paper or lined paper to write notes and stuff as a game master. They had the Crab Clan was protecting against the Shadowlands, so they had a hardback book 1 and then a softback book 2 that had demons, and basically they were a corrupting influence, and you had to use Jade to try to protect you, as that could take the corruption out. If you fought too much in here, you could turn evil. That type of scenario thing going on. City of Lies was a big box set with a city in it. Actually, looking through here, I picked up a couple of other adventures as well. So this big box is filled with other adventures too, just besides the City of Lies, which had some interesting adventure hooks and stuff. City of Greenwalls, Honor's Vale, so Night of a Thousand Screams, which was part of this City of Lies. So it was a nice game master tool. And then my campaign ended with the Tomb of Ichiban. The end, they succeeded, but then I guess it's not too big of a spoilers, but if you complete this, you're samurai, and samurai are about honor, and they're about protecting the empire and such. So when they defeated the thing and came out, they realized that they had been corrupted, and they know the secrets that they shouldn't know. So they all honorably committed suicide, except for the Ronin, who snuck away. But their families and clans were boosted, and they were seen as heroes who unfortunately died within the tomb instead of actually coming out. That was a weird ending. I liked it a lot at the time. I still have players go, every time I'm like, oh, we're getting close to the end of an adventure or campaign, I'm going to wrap up the campaign. And they're like, oh, are we all going to end up killing ourselves like in L5R? So that's made a big impact. Now, I will not get into mechanics or anything, because it has been, honestly, 20 years since I looked into the mechanics of this. I have fond memories of playing this, of game mastering this, of spending a lot of time reading this. This book had lots and lots of immersion type things where you would read about the clans and their ideas and their philosophies and how they viewed each other and things like that, and you could really get worked into it. And then you could look at, this was, of course, based off of Japanese samurai and culture and stuff like that, just in a different medieval Japanese culture world instead of the European world. And you really could get immersed in it, and it had a cool system of rolling dice and then keeping a certain amount of them, but you got to choose. It wasn't always just keep the highest. And they gave some pretty good examples of why you might not want to use the highest. Maybe you just wanted to hit somebody and say, look, I could have killed you, but I didn't. So you would pick some lower dice instead of all your high dice, which might have really hurt them or killed them. Or if somebody was bugging you a lot and annoying you and degrading your character, or degrading your clan or your school or your family or you or your ancestors, but they're part of your party and you were honor bound to go with them, but then they got hurt and you're the healer and you go to heal them and you, oops, I failed, sorry, that's what I rolled. You could kind of get by with that and use that they had a sincerity skill, and being sincere is different than being honest. And as a person who loved the Scorpion, and my main character when I played was a Scorpion clan Bushi, she was all about being sincere. and people would say like, you should have been here, why weren't you here, you should have been here, and she would have very sincerely said, yes, I should have been here, meaning, yeah, she shouldn't have been here, she didn't want to be there, so she wasn't there, but she should have. And if she could roll that sincerity, then people would think that she was being honest and truthful and was like an apology, when actually it wasn't an apology. She was just like, yeah, I know she should have been there, I wasn't, I don't regret that I wasn't, but yeah, by honor, I should have been there. So I always thought that that was kind of an interesting thing for it. I actually liked the character so much that I did something back then that I never did before, and I haven't done since. For presents, people have given me things like this, but I never bought one before that, and that's a little character journal. So they had character journals, or travelogue, character journal, for each of the clans. So this one was a scorpion, and it would give you a short little small, if the character sheet's here, it's a small version of the character sheets. You can keep track of all your stuff, and then advantages and weapons and equipment and allies and enemies, and you can see I filled out stuff pretty good. Physical descriptions, strength, do you agree with the Bushido code, character psychology, marital status, uncles, aunts, things like that. Apparently I had an uncle and aunt that I didn't know about, but they were given to me, I guess. Glory awards. Anytime that you did something glorious, you could get bumped, and kind of the same thing with honor. You can see I'm a Scorpion character. I ended up with a ton of glory and a ton of hours. Started off as the lowest clan with both of those, and if I look on my sheet here, my glory ended up with 3 and my honor of 3 as a Scorpion, because no matter what bad things I did, the results ended up being better. And since my sincerity was so good, I could bluff my way out of all the bad things and act like I didn't do them and gain a bunch of honor while doing underhanded, nefarious bad things. Or bad things as in preserving the empire, preserving the honor of the emperor and my clan, but doing it bad ways that were considered dishonorable, like poison. You know, samurais are swords, they're not poison. Well, if I need to poison somebody, I'd poison somebody. If I needed to sneak into something, I snuck into something. If I needed to do all those low skill type things, then I did them because that's what needed to be done, and that's kind of what the Scorpion clan is. And just little things like, apparently I hated most of the other clans as this character, and I made little haikus. So instead of telling game mechanics, I will tell you about my personal haikus that I made. So the crab haiku: no intelligence, but brawn easily controlled. I like the crab clan. Dragon haiku: ever determined, usurpers they always are, the dragon clan sucks. The phoenix: naive to the core, bendable and malleable. I like the phoenix. Lion: honorable cubs die in the front lines like sheep. Long life they have not. And that's probably why I never bought the Lion source book. Crane: feathery they are, yet eyes catch minute details. Ever watched the crane? So as a Scorpion, I did not like them, but I gave them some respect. And unicorn: they ride their horses. On horses they always are, out in the open. So really got into the L5R. Now, in this game, as I remember, if my memory serves correctly, I was a player at first, and then I got the books and got some clan books and started getting into it. And I don't remember if it was just me going, hey, I'm game mastering, or if it was like the other game master and goes, hey, I would like to play, would you like the game master? But at some time there was a shift where I went from being a player to being the main game master, and there might have been a couple of switch offs. And it's something that old school, a lot of people did, usually because we would have small groups at some points because there wasn't the internet. You couldn't roll 20 or fantasy grounds or any type of online tabletops and things like that. You might only have a couple of players, so maybe you would play a game at with a GMPC, a Game Master PC, as part of the party, and not necessarily an NPC. And it also gave game masters like me, who were always game masters, a chance to actually play. Now, as long as you don't, and there's a lot of people who disagree, who say don't do game master PCs at all, do not do game master player characters. I am one of the don't use it as a Deus Ex Machina. Don't, have them solve everything. Let the party decide things. Don't take the spotlight from anybody. And I have failed in the past. This, I think, was a character that I actually succeeded with. It was after the failures. I kind of took what I had failed at, realized that I shouldn't have been doing things that I was doing, and when I ended up doing this as a GMPC, because again, me and another game master traded. If we would have came in with only the experience that we would have gained, we would have had like half of the XP of the rest of the party, and that wouldn't have necessarily been fair because we were putting our time and interest in it. So we had our characters allowed, if we wanted to participate in ways. Or I could have them doing, especially this character, I could have her off doing something and coming back and giving information, and then going out. So I will say it's hard, and you might fail, especially when you're new at it, but be fair, be consistent, let the party shine, not yourself, and you can succeed. Now, this is a game that I used, again, making the game my own. I did a couple of things. One was I actually, and I don't know where the adventure is, but I still got the cover. I took this AD&D second adventure for the Oriental Adventures Ninja Wars, which had kind of a daimyo, a clan, a minor clan that I made up called the Hummingbird Clan. It might have actually been something here, or I just made it up. And I attached it to one of the main clans, and had these characters go through an AD&D second edition adventure without problem. You can do that. You can steal from anywhere and everywhere. You do not have to have the same remotely. This game is in no way, shape, or form system-wide compatible with D&D. Yet you can take an adventure and put it right into it, and people, I don't know if they even knew that it was a D&D adventure that they went on, if they thought it was maybe an L5R adventure, or I came up with it myself, but it was very successful. The other thing I did was, at the time I was reading some novels, and there was this investigation type thing that was in the 19th century of America, and I liked it so much that I converted it into a storyline for this game and had the players do an investigation, because a lot of these games were investigating type things that you could get sent by, I can't remember what they were, but they were like voices of the empire, and they could give you kind of a mission to solve a problem, and your group would get together and solve a problem. And I had this, and that's when I realized that my group, 3 sessions is as much as they can go without a combat. After 3 sessions, anything in the shadow that they will kill. And I know that because my beloved character that I bought this journal for died while I was game mastering, because she was coming up through a window to give vital information to the party that she had discovered, and I think I had them roll a perception or something, and they kind of missed who it was, and they threw a spear, and the guy exploded a bunch and kept all of his high dice while I'm biting my tongue because it's my character, my GMPC, who's getting a spear through her, and she died. And that's when I learned my party can go 3 adventures before they must have a combat. and they're going to jump at shadows and kill what's ever there. Again, I had a PC character in GMPC, and I let die because that's what happened. I did not show favoritism to my GMPC. I think that is important. I think also my party, after they realized who it was and they realized what that character meant to me, and that I had this freaking journal that I never got to fill out. I got to rank 3 out of 5 ranks and never got to use again because I'm not going to erase it because I love my character, but the character was never resurrected, never came back, anything like that, that they earned some respect for me. And when I would have any need in the future to put a NPC that was kind of a PC of mine, if Game Master switched or something like that, that they would understand that I am being fair and I'm not favoring my character. So that's kind of an off thing, but it's showing how I make the worlds my own, how I make the game my own, how I don't think that it should be a flat no, don't do it. I think you do it and you make sure that you're doing it correctly and you're not taking spotlight from the players as a game master, but you're using that character to enhance play and for a good reason. So I want to say that. Now again, I really liked L5R. I loved it. At that time, it was tied with Torg for my number 1 game. I will say this game, though, has one thing that I dislike, and it's the same reason that I dislike games like 7th Sea and Vampire and Werewolf and Ars Magica, any edition, are the games that have the clans, the schools, the nations, etc., which are the stereotype here, and you either follow the stereotype, if you're from that clan, family, whatever, I'll call it clans because that's what they are in this game, you follow your clan, or you're breaking out of the clan. You're just like everybody else in the clan, or you're the black sheep. And that's what you are. You're one of two things. You're either I'm breaking the mold or I am the mold. And if I would ever game master anything that was like this again, because basically if you wanted to say be a Scorpion clan but train at the Crane school, you had to spend more starting points, character points. I wouldn't have that. I would say I wouldn't have clans as in Scorpion clan. I would have an empire, and there would be a daimyo that would be the head of a clan and families, but their whole thing would be towards the daimyo. So I would allow different schools. So I would allow somebody to say do a Crane school bushi and a Scorpion bushi and a Lion shugenja and a Phoenix shugenja. Training, but be in the same clan, under the same daimyo, and have the schools, the bushi schools and the shugenja schools, not be associated with any clan whatsoever. So this school over here might be in a certain clan territory, but it would be independent, and it would be something that was prestigious, and people from all different clans would go there. And I probably would even make it so that it wasn't like a certain clan preferred that, unless it was like in their territory, and then it would be just because it is in their, but they would have an independence that they were training anybody who they felt was worthy. And I would do that to kind of get away from that you're the stereotype or you're breaking the mold, you're fitting the mold, or you're the black sheep, that type of thing. And that's something that always, because as soon as you have to figure out, why do I have a Scorpion and a Lion and a Phoenix together? Oh, the Emperor, their voice came down and said, oh, you have to do this. Or you're all meeting and then something bad happens and you have to figure it out. Well, then why are you together for a very long time? Why are you on a whole campaign doing different adventures together? And sometimes that gets kind of convoluted. You're trying to come up with justifications. Oh, you guys work together good this time, so I'm putting you together this time, when in reality is probably you go back to your clan, you would report everything, and you would if you were in another mixed group, it would be in that. So getting away from that is something that I have thought about. Like I said, I never did, but if I ever would go back to L5R, it's something I definitely would do. I would make the game my own even more, and even if I wasn't breaking up and making my own different version of Rokugan, if I had a Scorpion clan, then everybody would be in the Scorpion clan, but the Bayushi school for Bushi would not be associated with it. Maybe it would even I would make it a different name, but anybody could from any clan could do it. And if you wanted to go to the Crane Bushi school as a Scorpion, it wouldn't be the Crane's school. It would be an independent school that you'd go to. You could learn those techniques and be to the betterment of your daimyo, and have everybody in the party working for the same clan, the same goal. And I see that as something that I would do, and it is doable. I see no reason why it wouldn't be. Um, so that's my thoughts of L5R first edition. Like I said, I never really continued. Um, I like when I can end a campaign on an actual end and not a cliffhanger, or not just people fall out of the wayside and it's not finished. I mean, there's tons and tons of games that I both game mastered and played that they never had an actual ending. They never had completion or closure. Sometimes, like Torg, they just keep going, and that's fine because it's always going to go. There's no end until the party either until the bad guys win, or all the stele are ripped up, say in Torg. But this was one of the games that I actually had an end to, and it's very. I have fond memories of that because I can say I completed a campaign. The characters started, they advanced, and then they ended up committing seppuku, but their names live on forever, and those players still talk about it today. As an example, I'm going through Relics of Power Redux, and I'm getting to the very, very last encounter, and I let the players know that their characters will be retired, and they were going, "Oh, are we all going to die like we did in L5R, a over 20-year-old game?" So they have memories of that, and it's not necessarily bad memories because they all willingly did it. I did not, as a game master, say you need to do this. I basically, as a game master, had one of the Imperial scribes write down after they came out, wrote down everything, and it might be what it actually says. I'm not sure if I don't think I really changed that in the adventure, but he came in, interviewed all of them, wrote down their glorious history, and then had them clean and bathe themselves and present their arms, and then basically made a remark like, and your families will be very honored by your noble death, and then turned around and walked away and did not witness it. Now they could have all tried to sneak out, and as a game master, if that's what they wanted to do, then that's what they would have did. They basically all had seconds, and which meant the person who made sure that the person committing seppuku was killed. And the very last one was the Ronin, and the Ronin decided to bolt and just not do anything. He didn't have a clan, didn't have a family, didn't really care about any of the other ones. So he moved on, and that's how it ended. And that's one of the things that I liked when I can end. Not necessarily I like with the whole party TPK or them even killing themselves ending, but I do like when there's closure to the campaign. So that's my thoughts on L5R. I really like the system. I like the keeping, the rolling and keeping aspect of it. Combat could be very brutal. The different ways clans worked, I liked. I didn't like that it kind of stereotyped you or black sheeped you. There wasn't very much of a middle ground, and I think that working the schools differently from the clans, and that's pretty much what I think for all of those type of games like 7th Sea and L5R and Ars Magica, that if you could separate the type the school that you're in from the clan or family that you're in, then to me that is something that could possibly would benefit my games and possibly benefit your games too. So you use that idea if you want to. And again, steal from everywhere. Doesn't matter. I had a novel 19th century murder mystery investigation, and I converted it to like medieval samurai type stuff. Completely different system, completely converted without problems. So once again, I am Lehman Crafton Jr., aka Zorval Chan Less Than Guru. And if you like, you dislike, dislike. If you want to subscribe and get more content, hit the Mars is attacking me. That's what's happening. Hit the subscribe so you can get content. And until next time, I will catch you later.